Hello and welcome to the 53rd episode of Jazzology presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins, and we're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. If they're unable to answer correctly, their opponent will have a chance to steal the question for 1 point. We'll ask 10 questions, and at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score, no matter how far they're behind in the score. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. The person in the lead at the end of regulation will go first in sudden death, and each contestant will take turns trying to answer the sudden death multiple choice question until we have a winner. Let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning Jazzology champion is Hank Shteamer. Hank has written about music professionally for more than 20 years. He currently contributes to the New York Times, Pitchfork, and other outlets. Welcome back, Hank.
Thanks, Willard. Great to be here.
Our challenger for today's 53rd episode of Jazzology is a returning competitor. He is Matt Merewitz. As founder and director of Fully Altered Media since 2007, Matt Merewitz has become known as one of the most in-demand publicists and consultants in the world of creative music. Matt resides an hour north of New York City with his wife, daughter, and his chocolate labradoodle. Now let's get to today's Jazzology. And as our reigning champion, Hank goes first. You ready, Hank?
I am indeed.
Okay, Hank, let me preface this by saying the first couple of questions are in honor of Duke Ellington. Last April 29th was the 125th anniversary of the birth of Edward Kennedy Duke Ellington. So in honor of that, we'll start with some Ellington questions. Hank, where did Duke Ellington present his first sacred music concert? Was it A, St. Peter's Lutheran Church in New York City? B, the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City? C, Grace Cathedral in San Francisco? D, Westminster Abbey in London? Or E, none of the above?
That's a tough one. I'm trying to picture the record sleeve there. I definitely remember checking that out. I'm gravitating towards the New York choices. I have just a faint memory that it might have been one of those. So I'm gonna skip over D and C. I'm gonna say that I think it was B, Cathedral of St. John the Divine.
That is incorrect. Cathedral of St. John the Divine was actually where the second sacred music concert was performed. So, Matt, you have a chance to steal this question. Where did Duke Ellington present his first sacred music concert? Was it A, St. Peter's Lutheran Church in New York City? B has been eliminated. C, Grace Cathedral in San Francisco? D, Westminster Abbey in London? Or E, none of the above?
I'm going to go against the tide. I think that the obvious answer is probably not the case. I don't think it was in England. I'm going to go with C, Grace Cathedral in San Francisco.
That is correct. For his first sacred music concert, Duke was commissioned by Grace Cathedral as part of their grand opening celebration. So indeed, that is where Duke Ellington's first sacred music concert was performed. And just FYI, the second sacred music concert was played at Cathedral of St. John the Divine, and the third sacred music concert was at Westminster Abbey in London. Okay, Matt, we're still on the Ellington tip. Duke Ellington's classic tune, Come Sunday, was a selection that was included in Duke Ellington's Sacred Music concert. However, that particular piece, Come Sunday, was originally part of what extended Duke Ellington work? Was it A, the Queen's Suite, B, Black, Brown, and Beige, C, Such Sweet Thunder, D, Go Tell Us Suite, or E, none of the above?
So this is one of my favorite Duke Ellington compositions, and it's been performed by such a diverse group of people, from solo piano to solo guitar to guitar duo to all kinds of different situations. You know, for me, it's between Black, Brown, and Beige and Such Sweet Thunder. I know that this was written for Johnny Hodges, specifically as a feature. And I think that there was a singer at some point who sang it. Well, I mean, maybe, I can't remember, like a gospel singer.
Yeah,
I can't remember. But anyway, so it's hard for me to pick between these two. They're in the same era, too. They're like, well, actually, no, I think this one was earlier. And Such Sweet Thunder came much later. And I think this is part of an earlier canon. So I'm going to go with Black, Brown, and Beige. Yeah.
That's correct. And the gospel singer you were trying to remember was the great Mahalia Jackson.
Mm.
All right, Hank. Hank, which of the following Duke Ellington compositions won a Grammy Award in 1967? Would that have been A, Come Sunday, B, Tell Me It's the Truth, C, New World A-Comin', D, In the Beginning God, E, Is God a Three-Letter Word?
That's a tough one. I'm going to have to, let's see. I'm honestly not super familiar with the ones besides Come Sunday here. I'm trying to think when that Mahalia version of Come Sunday was, and if it would have been around then. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try Come Sunday and just hope that it was a later version of that.
That's incorrect. Matt, with an opportunity to steal the point. Matt, which of the following Duke Ellington compositions won a Grammy Award in 1967? Was it A, Come Sunday, B, Tell Me It's the Truth, C, New World A-Comin', D, In the Beginning God, or E, Is God a Three-Letter Word?
So this is I have absolutely no clue. This is a period of Ellington that I'm totally not familiar with. Again, like Hank, I don't know any of these songs except Come Sunday. So I'm going to take a stab in the dark, and I'm going to say it's got a three-letter word, E.
That is incorrect as well. The Grammy Award in 1967 that went to Duke Ellington was for D, In the Beginning God, part of the Sacred Music concert. All right, Matt, it's your turn now.
Okay.
And we're our final Duke Ellington question for the afternoon. Duke Ellington's second sacred music concert was presented January 19th, 1968 at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City, and was subsequently released on 2 LPs on which record label? Now, you're a record guy, so let's see what you come up with this. Was it A, Columbia Records, B, Prestige Records, C, RCA Records, D, Blue Note Records, or E, Reprise Records?
Oh, God. I mean, Duke Ellington is so closely associated with Columbia Records, and I feel like you're tricking me here because it's like that's the obvious answer. But I know it's definitely not Blue Note, definitely not Prestige. I don't even know if Reprise Records existed in 1968. Gosh, this is so hard. Oh gosh, you know. Oh God, I gotta go with my gut and say Columbia.
Hank with an opportunity to steal the point. Duke Ellington's second sacred music concert was presented January 19th, 1968 at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City, and subsequently released on 2 LPs on which label? Was it A, Columbia, and that's been eliminated, B, Prestige, C, RCA, D, Blue Note, or E, Reprise?
It's a great question. Another tough one. Yeah, like Matt, I probably would have gravitated towards Columbia. Most of my knowledge of Duke in that later period is on Columbia. Nothing's saying Blue Note to me. Reprise, I don't know. I feel like RCA is the earlier period. I'm kind of trying to like picture this LP set that I would have seen like at WKCR. I feel like I have seen some Prestige titles, some Duke titles here and there from this era, like maybe the duet with I can't remember. Maybe it's Ray Brown. I think I'm going to go with Prestige, B.
That is correct. And now one of the tricks of that particular question is A, as Hank suggested, Duke's earliest period was on RCA. And in fact, RCA has released back in his centennial year, the definitive Duke Ellington box set came on RCA. Columbia was later. But one of the keys to that question is the record label that came up with what was known as twofers,
right,
as far as reissues, was Prestige.
Right.
That indeed was where that second concert was released on a 2 LP set on the Prestige label.
Did Prestige actually initiated the 2 LP set?
I'm not sure if they did, but they did initiate the marketing key to referring to them as twofers.
Right. Okay.
All right, Hank. Hank, in the 2023 annual Downbeat Magazine Critics Poll, the album by Ahmad Jamal titled Emerald City Nights Live at the Penthouse was produced and released by Zev Feldman and his Jazz Detective label. Which of these historic albums, 2023 from the Critics Poll, which of these historic albums did not come from the Jazz Detective? Would that have been A, Sonny Stitt, Boppin' in Baltimore? B, Chet Baker, Midnight Recording? C, Shirley Scott and Eddie Lockjaw Davis, Cooking with Jaws and the Queen? D, Chet Baker Trio live in Paris? Or E, Vince Guaraldi, Jazz Impressions of Black Orpheus?
Can I ask a question, which you may or may not be able to answer? Are we talking about Jazz Detective as in, like, because I know Zev Feldman works for many different labels and produces things. Like, are we saying he is the Jazz Detective, or specifically that Jazz Detective?
No, we're saying that he's the Jazz Detective.
Okay, so you're basically saying which of these is not a Zev Feldman production?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Can I see the first screen again? Sorry, I can only see the D and E right now. Okay, so we've got the Stitt, the Chet Baker, Shirley Scott, Lockjaw Davis, and one more. What's the second two? Last two, sorry.
Chet Baker Trio and Vince Guaraldi, Jazz Impressions of Black Orpheus.
So I remember the Stitt one as being one of his. The Shirley Scott one is ringing a bell. The Chet Baker one seemed plausible. I don't have any, like, that Jazz Impressions of Black Orpheus, I feel like it's just an older Vince Guaraldi album. That's not ringing a bell as being like a specific Zev discovery from recent years. I'm going to have to go with E.
You're going to have to go with E, Vince Guaraldi, Jazz Impressions of Black Orpheus?
Yeah.
You are absolutely correct. That record was not part of Zev Feldman's growing orbit.
There's an irony to that. Can I say?
Sure.
Zev Feldman used to work for Concord, which the Vince Guaraldi catalog is part of. Right. And ironically, in all of his, I may be wrong on this, but in all of his reissue or archival release, I don't think he's worked with the Concord Vault. I could be mistaken on that, but the Vince Guaraldi very firmly stands in the Concord Vault.
I think he was working with new releases back then.
Yeah, right. But even so, I mean, it is interesting that he worked there, and that one release is from Concord, and all the others were from either Jazz Detective or Elemental or whatever, so
exactly.
Kind of an irony there. Yeah.
This week's mid-show break is brought to you by Savage Content. Jazz lovers love Savage Content's YouTube channel for its exclusive performances and interviews featured in playlists like the Cutting Room series, MCG Jazz Club series, Pasquale Grosso, the Living Room series, American Icons of Music, and Conversations with Ramsey Lewis, and the All Without Words Autism Art Therapy music videos, and over 51 episodes of your favorite, now 52 episodes of your favorite Jazzology trivia show. Visit www.youtube.com/Savage Content and subscribe to Savage Content's enormous and growing content now. This is the point of the competition where we ask people who are new to Jazzology basically what excites them about jazz and that kind of thing. We already asked you guys that. So let me ask you, Matt, what compelled you to start your publicist business?
Well, I think I kind of answered this in the previous episode, but it's been a while, so I'll refresh you. I basically, I was a saxophone player. I studied with a number of players in the DC area, but most memorably with Paul Carr, who's, blossomed into a much more important figure in the grander scheme of things with this Mid-Atlantic Jazz Festival, which I know that Willard and your wife Susan have had a strong influence in pushing him in that direction. And so he was kind of my mentor, my first real serious mentor. And so I went to college at Carnegie Mellon, and I joined the radio station there, which was a free-form radio station, kind of like Hank at WKCR, although obviously emphasis there is on jazz and classical. But at this station, I kind of got my first hint into like how records were promoted, how kind of radio promoters got to DJs, sent them music. You know, at that time it was physical music, LPs and CDs, mostly CDs. And, you know, I got a taste for that. I went to the IAJE conference in 2006, January. I sat in on a meeting of the JJA in which Nate Chinen were both there. And Nate, I talked to Nate for the first time. I had been reading him for years. And Nate actually recommended that I sit in on this private meeting of PR professionals, including Don and Terry Hinte and the late Charlie Bourgeois and Carolyn McClare and Janice Sort and Jason Byrne and so on and so forth. And and Zoe Tidal from Tidal from Jazz Lincoln Center. And I guess that meeting was the fateful thing that changed the direction of my life professionally in terms of you know, understanding what publicists do. Guess I didn't know what they did prior. I mean, I knew that was a profession, but you know, that was the catalyst. And then Don Lukoff offered me a job at DL Media, and everything since then is history.
Well, you had an epiphany at you said at the IAJE conference.
IAJE 2006 in New York. Yeah.
All right. Well, Hank, as a writer and critic, you have the real privilege of moving around the different venues and exploring different music. What's your, particularly around the New York area, I would imagine, what's your favorite New York City venue for jazz performances?
Well, it's got to be the Vanguard. I feel like that's what I mean. I with all respect, I love going to Smoke. You know, I love going to the Stone. I love going to you know, the Jazz Gallery and Dizzy's, etc. Blue Note, all great. But the Vanguard is kind of in a class of its own. I mean, I think most people would agree. It's just, I don't know. I just, like, every time I go there, I kind of definitely have the feeling of like almost amazed that it's still possible to go there, and just soaking that up. And just, you know, obviously during the pandemic, there was some questions about, you know, the future. And I think especially then, since I've gone back, I'm trying to think who I saw most recently. Oh, it was Joe Lovano had a band a couple months ago with Julian Lodge, Will Calhoun, and Santi DiBriano, which was a really interesting quartet that hasn't been recorded yet. And yeah, just you know, you always feel like you're kind of on the cutting edge when you go there, and that's, you know, kind of a phenomenal.
So you almost feel like you're in a temple.
Yeah.
When you go to the Vanguard, you know, and which makes it a different experience than most other clubs. So I can dig that.
It's irreplaceable. Yeah.
Well, our record of the week comes from vocalist Faye Victor, singing music written by the pianist, composer, and journalist Herbie Nichols. The record is titled Life is Funny That Way, and I'm hopeful that through this particular record, more people will get hip to Herbie Nichols and his story, because he's one of those kind of underground figures. But thankfully, Faye Victor has chosen to elevate the music of Herbie Nichols, which is quite special as well. So, Matt, you're up next. Trumpeter Ambrose Akinmusire is a native of what city? Does Ambrose Akinmusire come from Brooklyn, New York, San Francisco, Berkeley, California, Oakland, California, or San Jose, California?
So, I mean, unless this is a trick question, and I'm very close with Ambrose. We talk all the time. It's not Brooklyn. It's not San Francisco. It's not Berkeley. It's not San Jose. It's Oakland, California.
Indeed. And I guess the tricks would be Berkeley and San Francisco, because he did go to Berkeley High School.
He went to Berkeley High School, and he actually resides in Berkeley now.
Right, exactly. He went to Berkeley, which is the same school that produced Joshua Redmond,
Benny Green, yeah.
Candy, Benny Green, yeah. All right, well, Matt scores the points. Hank, you're next. Hank, composer, arranger, and band leader Maria Schneider is a native of what Minnesota city? Is that A, Minneapolis, B, Windham, C, St. Paul, D, Duluth, or E, Bemidji? Which Minnesota city is Maria Schneider a native of?
These are all good ones. I'm trying to remember just the different profiles I've read. I know there's a great Ben Ratliff profile in the Jazzier book, and that talks about her childhood. I have like some sense of it being like a smaller place, smaller town. So maybe gonna lean away from A and C. Man,
this is hard.
I'm gonna just something's leading me towards Duluth, D. So I'll go with that.
That is incorrect. The award-winning, and this is for you, Matt, to steal the point, the award-winning composer, arranger, and band leader, Maria Schneider, is a native of what Minnesota city? Is that A, Minneapolis, B, Windham, C, St. Paul, D, Duluth has been eliminated, or E, Bemidji? Okay,
so I have an interesting answer for this, and I don't know for sure, but I know it's not a big city. I know it's been put as part of her narrative that she is from the middle of nowhere, a very small town. And so I actually know that Duluth is not a small town. It's a big city, or a major city. I believe it's on Lake
Superior.
Lake Superior, right? Yeah, right on the lake. And I went to Bemidji when I was in high school to attend a Concordia language village where I studied French. And I would have, if that was the town, I would have known, because like it would have been bandied about in press, in profiles and whatever. So if the smallest town here, Bemidji is not a tiny town, but it's also not very big either. But I don't think it's Bemidji. It's not Duluth. It's not St. Paul, not Minneapolis. So by process of elimination, I'm going to say Windham, just because I have that personal experience with Bemidji.
And Matt, that was an excellent process of elimination. And you just stole that point. So Matt is up 6-3. Hank, time to catch up. But it's Matt's turn up first. Matt, the winner in the Downbeat Magazine 2023 Critics Poll on trombone was which of the following musicians? Was it A, Steve Turre, B, Wycliffe Gordon, C, Trombone Shorty, D, Michael Dees, or E, Robin Eubanks?
So this is really hard because all these people have won the poll. For years and years and years, it was Steve Turay without fail throughout the 90s, or the late 90s, early 2000s, and probably earlier too. Wycliffe kind of started taking it in the early 2000s when he was with Lincoln Center, and he was, in that big chair and had a lot of visibility and whatever. I don't think it's Trombone Shorty. The critics, this is the critics poll, right? Not the readers poll.
Critics poll.
So the critics poll, yeah, I don't know. But I think it's funny because I think I actually worked with this musician last year, and actually this is it's funny because I'm not sure I'm doubting myself. But I know that Mike D's won a category, and I know that he was a client last year, and I think I put him in my ad that congratulated him in the issue for my company. So I would be, I think it's Mike D's. I think it's D.
That's correct. It's Michael D's.
That's kind of unfair.
But we went through a pretty nice process of elimination.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people would have immediately thought Steve Turay.
No, yeah. But Steve has fallen out of favor because he's not on SNL anymore. It's all about visibility, the Downbeat Critics
He's
Poll.
still on SNL.
I thought that Ryan permanently replaced him.
I saw him most recently on SNL.
Okay, all right. My bad.
I think he's still on SNL. I'll have to ask Andromeda about that.
Yeah.
But Hank, you're up next. Hank, who wrote the jazz tune, kind of a standard, titled When Lights Are Low? Was that A, Duke Ellington, B, Fats Waller, Benny Goodman, D, Dizzy Gillespie, or E, Benny Carter?
It's not. Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of that as a Duke tune, or Benny or Dizzy. I'm kind of between B and E here. I'm going to have to go with E, Benny Carter.
And that is correct. Benny Carter did indeed contribute When Lights Are Low to the lexicon. So, Matt, you're up next. Matt, Blue Note Records famously billed itself as the finest jazz since what year?
I can tell you without looking at the options.
Was it A, 1959, B, 1942, C, 1937, D, 1939, or E, 1948?
I know it's the right thing to, I should forfeit but it's D, 1939.
That is indeed the question.
Branding.
So now, Matt is up 10-5, and now Hank gets a chance to catch up. You ready for the bonus, Hank?
Think so, yeah.
All right, well, Hank, Miles Davis' tune Little Willie Leaps is based on what standard tune? Would that be A, How High the Moon, B, I Got Rhythm, C, I'll Remember April, D, All God's Children Got Rhythm, or E, none of the above?
This is another tough one. I'm again trying to hear that Phil Schaap voice in my head.
Right.
I feel like it's, you want to say B because obviously so many tunes are based on that. I don't think it's D. You know, then there's that none of the above there, which is always like a siren song. Yeah, I feel like I guess I'm between B and E. You know, I'm gonna try E because I think that if that's there, it means something. Yeah.
Little Willie Leaps is based on D. All God's children got rhythm. Or in the vernacular, all God's children got rhythm.
No way I would have gotten that, so I feel a little better that I didn't guess I got rhythm.
So that means congratulations go to Matt Merewitz on winning our 53rd episode of Jazzology.
Nice job, Matt.
And rest assured, Matt, the next time you come on, we'll avoid all Blue Note questions.
Yeah, no, that was a great round of questions.
Congratulations to Matt Merewitz on winning our 53rd episode of Jazzology. We encourage each and every one of you to try your hand and play Jazzology. And if anyone watching would like to become a contestant on Jazzology, click the link below and simply fill out the form. You must be 18 years or older, and be sure to follow us on social media at Jazzology Trivia Show to get all the latest news and updates. Thanks so much to Hank Shteamer and our new champion, Matt Merewitz, and to everyone who joined us for our 53rd episode of Jazzology today. Remember, you can check out Jazzology every other Friday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and if you missed the show live, you can find the archive on the Savage Content YouTube channel. And we will see you next time.